Okay, well, I think it's that time.
It is that time.
So, welcome once more. Thank you very much for coming today. Since we are in the month of May, I thought we could dedicate our May talk to Mary. And so we're going to talk about icons of Our Lady. We've also seen lots of Western art in these talks, so I thought let's mix it up a bit and look at some Eastern art. I was hoping to have Father Stephen here because he really likes icons, but yeah, it's okay. You can pass on the knowledge later, Father. So yeah, I don't know if many people here have had the chance to see icons in Orthodox churches. I know my husband there has. I haven't, unfortunately. So I don't know. Have any of you?
Yes,
In Russia. Yeah. Well, I'm very jealous. Maybe one day. Can't really go to Russia at the moment, but maybe somewhere else. We could go to Greece. Yes. Yeah. Maybe not our next trip. Next trip, we'll be to Greece. But yeah, so the world of icons is very, very complex and rich, but today we will be concentrating on representations of Our Lady. And this is already a really big topic, so I'm just going to mention some of the most well-known ones, and we're just going to have a look at the symbols and just enjoy looking at Our Lady and enjoy looking at gorgeous icons. So, a bit of historical context first. I know this is the boring bit, but just let's get on with it. So the church had been persecuted basically since the death and resurrection of Christ until the year 313, when Constantine the Great issued the Edict of Milan, which declared freedom of worship in the Roman Empire. And then a few years later, in the year 325, the Council of Nicaea was celebrated, presided by Constantine himself, which you can see in that icon over there. He's in the middle, and he's with another 9 men, if I'm not mistaken, and they're holding the text of the Nicene Creed, which is the first creed of the church. No, it's not, because the priest is saying no, but is the one that we say today, yes? So in the Council of Nicaea, basically the Nicene Creed was established, and the dogma of the two natures of Christ, divine and human, against Arianism. Yeah, Arianism was the main heresy back then. And then a few years later, in the year 380, Nicene Christianity, that is the branch of Christianity coming from the Council of Nicaea, so our branch, became the official religion of the empire through the Edict of Thessalonica, issued by Emperor Theodosius I. So we see how Constantine sort of paved the way by declaring freedom of worship, and then Theodosius basically established Christianity as the official religion of the empire. So the Council of Nicaea had established that Jesus is one person with two natures. That means that the Word of God, the second person of the Trinity, with his divine nature, is incarnated and takes human nature. But where is he incarnated? In the womb of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And that posed the question, so if Mary is the mother of Christ, and Christ has a divine nature and a human nature, does that mean that she's the mother of God? And that was something that was debated in the Council of Ephesus in the year 431. So we had two factions. On one side, the faction led by Nestorius, Patriarch of Constantinople, who said that Mary was just Christotokos, and that means mother of Christ, just of his human nature. The other faction was led by Saint Cyril of Alexandria, which you can see in this painting here. And I just found it funny that this is from Russian Russian Orthodox Church Cardiff.com, of all places. It's not very easy to find icons and images like this on the internet, I found. Yeah, it's a bit of a random web page, but I don't know where this painting is. I would like to know, but I don't know where this painting is. But yeah, so St. Cyril of Alexandria maintained that no, Mary was Theotokos, so she was the mother of the person that is Jesus Christ, and therefore she was the mother of both his human and his divine nature. Because otherwise, Jesus would have been born as any other human being, and then at some point being possessed by the second person of the Trinity. And that would mean that there would be two different persons in the same human being. That contradicted what had been established already in the Council of Nicaea, so it was heresy. The reason why the council was celebrated in Ephesus, by the way, is because it was thought to be where Our Lady had lived in the last few years of her life with St. John. So the title of Our Lady as Theotokos, Mother of God, was established in the Council of Ephesus. And this is a quote from one of the letters by St. Cyril of Alexandria to Nestorius. And it says, "For in the first place, no common man was born of the Holy Virgin. Then the Word thus descended upon him. But being united from the womb itself, he is said to have endured a generation in the flesh in order to appropriate the producing of his own body." That sounds very convoluted, but it's basically what I said before. Thus, the Holy Fathers did not hesitate to speak of the Holy Virgin as the Mother of God. So St. Cyril is saying here that from his conception, Jesus had two natures, divine and human, in such a way that when he was born, Mary was Theotokos, was Mother of God. But he's also saying that the fathers of the church already called Mary Mother of God. And this is because the notion of Mary as Mother of God is much older than the Council. It was already a popular belief among the people of God that, according to some authors, was even of apostolic tradition, so it even came from the apostles themselves. Origen is the first author recorded who used this term around the year 220. And then Dionysius of Alexandria used it in a letter a few years later, and other theologians who used this term were St. Athanasius of Alexandria, St. Gregory Nazianzen, yes, that's correct pronunciation, St. John Chrysostom, and St. Augustine, all of them between the 4th and the 5th century. So this belief that already was strong in the mind of the early church was only officially established in the council, but it was something that was believed already about Mary. And this hymn, commonly known as Suctuum Presidium, from the Latin translation of the Greek original, is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, Marian hymn. Depending on the authors, some say that it was written in the 3rd century, others said it as late as the 9th century. In any case, it's a beautiful hymn, and I thought that after the boring bit, we could stop and say a little prayer. So, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Can say it all together. We fly to thy protection, O Holy Mother of God. Do not despise our petitions in our necessities, but deliver us always from all dangers, O glorious and blessed Virgin. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Soon to be said in Greek.
Sorry? We should have said it in Greek. I think I could. I vaguely remember from school, so I think I could still read that. I might not know what it means very well, but I know how.
That's the key bit.
but I know how to read it. So yeah. So let's unpack the icon of the Theotokos then. So the title Theotokos is a generic title, if you like, of the Mother of God. So all the icons of Our Lady, maybe not all of them. I'm not sure, 100% sure that is true, but most of the icons of Our Lady are of the Theotokos. Is a name that we give to Our Lady. Another name that we give her is Panagia, which we'll see later, which means all holy. So those two, depending on the icon, some are called Panagia, some Theotokos, is just a name that we give her. That is not very specific, it's just her. So that's the original iconographical type, the Theotokos, and then there are many types. We will see there's the Eleousa, Odighitria, Galaktotrophousa, there's lots of funny words here. But always Theotokos. And we can identify her through a code of symbols. Through a code of symbols. So, first of all, when we look at an icon, any icon, we will see that the lower half always has a lot of matter, a lot of dark colors, and that means that the lower half is our world, is the world of matter, world of darkness, world of grief, even. And then the upper half has a lot of space, has a golden background, which gold always in Byzantine art always stands for heaven, and on Western art as well, but mainly in Byzantine art. And you see the halos as well. So above is the spiritual world, is God, is heaven, is light. So the reading direction of an icon is always from the bottom to the top and from the square to the circle. So we have a square, first of all, a square or a rectangle, and that also signifies our world, because I have to think in Greek culture were 4 elements, so fire, earth, wind and water, or air and water. 4 cardinal points, and also if you think if you reflect a light on a square surface, you will see there's a circle of light in the middle. So if you point a torch on a table, you will see the circle of light in the middle, and then the corners of the table will be darker. And that signifies the darkness of our world. So then from the square, we get to the triangle, also called the mountain, and that signifies our spiritual journey. So we ascend from the dark material world to the luminous spiritual world. And then from the triangle, from that spiritual journey, we get to perfection, to God, which is signified by the circle. And we have concentric circles. Here we have the right eye of Our Lady, which is right in the middle of the icon, and that's deliberate. And that eye is looking straight at us, and it's the eye that we should be looking at. Then you have the circle of her head, and then the circle of her halo. So you see how we can very easily, when we don't know this, it sort of goes, I mean, for me, it would have gone completely over my head, but when you actually realize how carefully planned an icon is really fascinating. So that is valid for all icons. So now you can, if you didn't know this, you can now boast in front of other people. You can read an icon now, so you can tell them all that. Now for the icon of Our Lady in particular. So you have the Jesus on her lap. That means that she's mother. You have a blue tunic. So she's wearing a blue tunic that you can just about see underneath her robe. And that means that she wasn't born a queen, because if she had, she would wear a purple tunic. So that means that she was born a normal woman, let's say. But she is wearing a purple robe on top of her blue tunic, because she is queen. She has been crowned queen by the Trinity. Purple, as you may know, was reserved for royalty or nobility because it was an extremely expensive pigment that was sourced from the wings of a beetle. So you needed lots and lots of beetles to produce a tiny bit of purple. So it was also, we say purple, but it wasn't really purple color that we think about now. It's more like a wine color. I mean, that sort of reddish, between red and purple, if you like.
I think we call it Roman purple. don't we?
Roman purple, yeah, yeah.
It's Syrian purple and it comes from snails.
Ah,
Is it snails? Is it
Mollusks and snails.
Okay.
Which is why it was so expensive, because you needed to crush up so many tiny, tiny little mollusks
Yeah.
in order to get the pigment you needed.
Yeah, yeah. So then you can see those. What are those called in English? Tassels. Thank you. That's the edge of the maphorion, which was a large veil that traditionally Greek married women would wear. So that signifies that she is married, but we don't want people to get confused. We want to say that she is married, she's a mother, but she's also a virgin. So we have 3 stars, one on each shoulder and one on her forehead, and that means that she's a virgin before, during, and after childbirth. So that balances out the marriage symbol with the perpetual virginity symbol. It also is a symbol of the Trinity, and sometimes in other icons you see Jesus covering this star that is next to him. And I was actually wondering that, like, in some of them, like, why is he covering that? And it's basically because he's the second person of the Trinity, so he is standing in the place of one of the stars in that case. And then, last but not least, we have to identify who she is, in case there is any doubt. So we have 4 letters at the top. They can be in Greek or in Cyrillic, depending on where the icon was made, where the icon was made. On the left, we see M, what it looks like MP is actually MR, which stands for mater or mother. And on the right, we see T and sort of Y, which is Thea. So the little squiggle at the top of each of the 2 groups of letters means that it's an abbreviation. It's like when we put a dot now, so they put a squiggle. So Mater Dei, Mother of God. And that appears always in the icons of Our Lady because it distinguishes her from other female saints. We have to make an important point, and it's that calling Mary Theotokos never meant to suggest that she was co-eternal with God or that she existed before Jesus Christ or before God. Rather, her divine maternity is only regarding the mystery of the Incarnation, so the Church accepts this mystery, which is, I guess, something that the Nestorians just couldn't get their heads around. From the original icon of the Theotokos, we have many versions, if you like, but they are different from what we call advocations in the Western Church. So, advocations of Our Lady, when we say Our Lady of so-and-so, of Lourdes, of Fatima, of Mount Carmel, of Walsingham, it always has to do with historical events, with apparitions, with a certain miracle. But in Eastern Christianity, the names that are given to Our Lady have to do with characteristics of Mary, so things we believe about her. And we'll see a few of them. And I just want to invite you to enjoy, just take this as a time of prayer, as much as anything else, because this is all about her. So the Virgin Eleousa, it can be translated as Our Lady of Tenderness, also Our Lady of Mercy. If you think when we say Kyrie eleison, we're saying God have mercy, God have tenderness with us. That's also where the name Eloise comes from. If anyone wants to find names for babies, I think you already decided. You see there is a perfect communion between the mother and the child. So they're literally cheek to cheek. There's no space between their faces. And we see that Mary is looking at us and Jesus is looking to her. So we are supposed to take the place of Jesus. Mary looked after Jesus in her womb and as a child, and then when she was a widow, he looked after her. Also, just from a historical point of view, in those times when a woman lost her husband, she basically depended on her son for everything. So just from that human point of view, but obviously spiritually, the link between them was incredibly unique. So that's why the limits between them have faded, because their hearts love the same, they have the same desire to serve God, the same love for Him, and the same love for us as well. He dies for us, and she receives the mission to be our mother. So that communion between the heart of Jesus and the heart of Mary is unique. And because she doesn't have original sin, she has a unique intelligence and will that is totally aligned with the will of God. Again, we see her central eye as the circle is usually looking at us, whereas Jesus is looking at her. So he is inviting us to do the same, because she is our mother as well as his. She looked after him in his weakness, and she was at the foot of his cross. So she will also look after us in our weakness, and she will be at the foot of our cross. The same love she has for Jesus, she has for us, and that's what this type of Theotokos is all about. So some examples. So you have a Romanian Orthodox icon on the left there. These are somewhat modern, because there's lots of icons being produced still today, obviously.
I just wanted to ask, in the Romanian one, which is the one on the left, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's Our Lady's left eye, which is in the middle.
It is, yeah.
Does that have a significance, or?
I'm not sure. I want to say probably not. It's the central eye that we're supposed to be looking at.
It's not that it's the right eye.
No, I think it's just the eye that's in the middle that we should be looking at. I don't know if there is, if we look at, not maybe modern icons, but ancient icons, like if there is more icons where she's looking to one side and to the other. I don't know, but it would be interesting to know. I don't think it has a particular significance. And then this one is also a modern one, but it's really beautiful. I found this school of iconology online, and I don't actually know what it is. I don't know if they do courses or something, so I might investigate that, because they had some really beautiful icons, and they are modern, made by master iconologists, I think is the right word. Iconographers, yeah. But they're really beautiful. One of the most well-known Eleousas in Russia is the Virgin of Vladimir, the patron saint of Russia, and is a Byzantine image made in Constantinople. And story goes, it was taken to Kiev as a gift, and then it was transferred to the Assumption Cathedral in Vladimir, where it got its name, basically. And then in the 16th century it was taken to the Dormition Cathedral in Moscow, where it remained until after the revolution. And then today, I don't know if have any of you seen it? You have seen it, probably, yeah. So it's in the Tretiakov Gallery, and later it was transferred to the Church of St. Nicholas in Tomalki, which is actually a part of the gallery, so you can't access the church without accessing the gallery. So it's a bit of a weird situation. It's in a church. I think the reason why it was transferred is because the church complained to the government that this icon should be in a church and not in a museum, and that's why they is that.
Yes, and interestingly, the late Father Jerry Bertram, he'd been to, it's not to this one, but to Leningrad.
Yeah.
In the 1970s or 80s.
Yeah.
And at that point, of course, all the icons were in museums, in the Hermitage or whatever. And there used to be guards that stopped people praying.
Oh my, yeah.
So now they've moved them into churches, and because they should be prayed in front of, not just exhibited.
Yeah. So it is a bit of a weird one. Like, it is in a museum. It's in a church that is within a museum, so you have to go to the museum to go to the church, but like you can kneel and you can pray in front of it, which is the point. So lots of people still go there and venerate the icon, and liturgies are still held in the church. So it is a functioning church. But the Russian Tsars were crowned in front of this icon, and it was also painted on the standards of the Russian army for many years. So, and a lovely detail is that the hand of Jesus, the left hand of Jesus, is embracing Mary's neck. Is not very clear because of the condition of the image, but you see the little hand there on the left, well, on your right, on his left. So that's his left hand sort of embracing her neck. It has been copied thousands of times all over the world. Then this one is I could find the image, but I couldn't find if it's actually an icon or if it's a wall painting. To me, it looks more like a wall painting, but I'm not 100% sure. But it's Mary that has been assumed into heaven, and she and Jesus are embracing. So it's almost like a mirror image of the one before. So you see Jesus embracing her neck, and he's doing the same here. So it's that new communion of hearts now forever in eternal life. So it's a really beautiful image. And I brought you this one from Italy, just to show you how this image of the Eleousa was adopted in Western art as well. And then another big type, we have the Virgin Odighitria, which could be translated as Our Lady of the Way. It also translates as the one who guides. And the main thing about this image is she's pointing at Jesus with her right hand. Sometimes he looks at her, other times they're both looking at us, like in this case. And in other icons, more than looking at Jesus, we're identifying ourselves with Jesus, like we saw just before in the Eleousa. And although Mary always directs us to her son, but specifically on this type, that's what she's doing. And she's saying, don't look at me, look at him. And it has many variants, like the Eleousa had the Virgin of Vladimir. It has also many variants. You see on the left, apart from the letters at the top, which again is Mater Dei, you have the letters identifying Jesus as well. Jesus Christ, basically, just on top of his halo. And then on the left of the image, on Mary's right shoulder, you see Odighitria, just identifying that this particular type is. They didn't have enough space, so they got the first letter at the top, then the middle of the word, and then the last letter at the bottom. But normally they are identified. I like in icons, they're very, I think what I like about them, they're very, what's the word? Like, they want to teach you. So they make sure that everything is clear of what you're looking at. You also have the angels Michael and Gabriel, which I think are identified. I said they were identified, and that might be a lie because I'm not sure. I think they are, but the letters are so tiny. They're in the far corners, so they're so tiny that not even I can see them on the computer. But they are there. They are there, identifying. I think Michael on our left and Gabriel on our right. So some variations of the Odighitria, Our Lady of Bethlehem on the left. You can see she's very happy. She has a lovely smile on her face. She's just given birth to her son. Whereas in Our Lady of Jerusalem on the right, you can see although she's smiling just faintly, but her face is a bit sad, and it's as she's foreseeing her son's passion. You can see they're both sort of encased in metal, and that is called ritha or ritza. I don't know how to pronounce it very well, but it's basically like a metal carcass or a metal armor that you put on top of the icon to embellish it as well as to protect it. Another Odighitria is the Virgin of Smolensk. So some types of the Theotokos of icons of Our Lady are said to have been originally painted by Saint Luke, and there are lots of stories of different specific icons being painted by Saint Luke originally and then traveling to the places that give them sometimes their name via several different circumstances. So this one would have been brought from the Holy Land by the wife of the emperor at the time, which was Theodosius II, and kept in Constantinople. So this is the very first icon of the Odighitria, and it would be in full length. So the icons that we have today, like the Virgin of Smolensk, would be copies of this one. So for Our Lady of Smolensk, tradition says that the original icon was not lost, which is what the experts think, but it was brought to Russia. That's that very first icon of the Odighitria. That was brought to Russia, and it was brought to the Assumption Cathedral in Smolensk. If the original icon was of full length, I'm not sure how they justify that this one is not. I don't know if they say it was maybe like lost the lower part. I'm not sure. But the stories are usually quite complex and often mix fact with legends, so it's quite difficult to actually know what happened to the icons. So apparently this icon that came to Smolensk existed but was lost during the Second World War, and then there are lots of copies of it. And this one is the one that gave the type of the archangels being at the very top, like we've seen before. Another thing about this icon, about icons in general, the mouth, if you see, mouths are always very small and they're always shut. And that's because in Greek aesthetics, that's how it should be, because of the lack of teeth that people had in those times. There was no dental care, so actually smiling with your teeth, like now for us is like lovely smile, for them it wasn't. So the correct way of smiling was like just very small with your mouth shut. And that's why the icons can seem sometimes a bit inexpressive, and the expression concentrates in the hands. And they're the hands that talk to us. And for example, we've seen how Our Lady is pointing to Jesus, but also how Jesus, I apologize for the quality of the image. I did choose the previous image that I had shown you because it was the highest quality, but still when you make it bigger, it gets really pixelated. But you can see he has the index finger and the middle finger like extended, like meaning the two natures. And then the thumb is closed over the two remaining fingers, and that means the Trinity. So 3 for the Trinity, 2 for the two natures. So there's all different types of those gestures that tell us things. And yeah, no, I was just looking at, this is the one that has the archangel, and actually it does have the names at the very top of the archangels, but Again, they're very, very small. And again, you see it has the name of the Odighitria there to identify which type of Theotokos we're looking at. Another example on the left, you have Our Lady of Tikvin, that also has a lot of devotion in Russia. The difference you can see between the original icon here and then in the middle you see the icon in that golden ritha or ritza. That is that metal case that embellishes it and protects it as well. And another icon that's traditionally said to have been painted by Saint Luke is the one you see on the right, the Portaitissa, she who resides by the door or the keeper of the gates. So if you think of porta in Italian, puerta in Spanish, comes from that. It's also known as the Theotokos Iverskaya, and she has a little scar on her chin. Again, the image is not very good, but you can just about see that scar there. It is said to have been made by a soldier, I think during the Russian Revolution, I believe, and then the image bled, and it was a miracle. And see, this one is called Panagia Portaitissa. So Panagia, like I said before, is another generic name given to Our Lady. It means all holy. It's a bit like Theotokos, Mother of God. So it's more generic name. Our Lady of Kazan on the left, the original icon is dated in the 13th century, but there are many copies around the world. And Mary is shown in a close-up, who's a bit different, and Jesus is standing rather than sitting next to her. So we don't have the hand in this case. It's just she's looking at us. She's looking at us a bit like, this is my son, you better look at him, okay? Like, so very stern. And then on the right you have Our Lady of Częstochowa, or also called the Black Madonna of Częstochowa, with great devotion in Poland. And you can see they have her also in this big metal risa. I'm just making the pronunciation up completely. I have no idea how that is pronounced. Another type of Our Lady that's quite common is the Theotokos Oranta, so which means like Mother of God in prayer, or also called Our Lady of the Sign. They're not exactly the same, but they're very, very similar. So it's meant to represent Our Lady as our intercessor, and this is an image that is known since the catacombs. And there are mosaics in different cathedrals with this image. This one is one of the most famous ones in the cathedral in Kiev. And it also has this image, a connection with the deesis, which you see on the left. The deesis is the image of Christ, usually enthroned, with Our Lady and St. John the Baptist at either side pleading for the souls. So when is Our Lady in the deesis, she's called something else that I'm not going to say because it's too many names. Is the Agiosoritissa. It gets very confusing. But that's the Lady of the deesis. And then when she's on her own with both hands up in prayer, that is Our Lady Oranta. She's also called the Great Panagia, like the Great All Holy One. It gets really, really confusing with the names. I found an image and then I couldn't find it anymore. I saw it fleetingly on a website, and then I just lost it, of a Russian 18th century panel that had all the typologies of Our Lady, and I was just like, that's insane. Like, there were so many. But yeah, I lost it. If I find it again, I'm going to link it on the YouTube because just for fun, because there are so many names that they give her. Our Lady of the Sign is actually a subtype of the Oranta, and is the most popular. And it comes from Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, I think, which is, the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and his name shall be called Emmanuel. So we see, like in the normal Oranta, the hands up in prayer, but we see Jesus in a circle over her chest or womb. And sometimes he mimics his mother's gesture of the hands, like in this case. All the time he has his right hand in blessing. The whole background is golden. We can see in this one. The whole icon is golden, and that signifies that she's submerged in the Holy Spirit. It's only the red carpet at the bottom that represents the earth, and that means that she is the mediator between heaven and earth. And then the archangels at the top have mirrors, apparently, that reflect truth, sincerity, the content of the heart, and the conscience. So that's the Our Lady of the Sign.
I was just thinking that in that one, because the earth bit is below her feet, it's like she's in heaven.
Yes, it's like she's in
As opposed to
heaven.
that earlier one that you had, where it was really just the heaven bit only went as far as her shoulder.
Yes, yeah. She's completely in. Yeah, she's completely in heaven. Like she's It's just that little bit of earth there. Some modern examples of this type you have there on the left. It's very similar to the previous one, and the one on the right is another subtype of the Oranta, and is Our Lady, a Theotokos of the unconsumed bush, which I think is gorgeous, is beautiful, because you see around Mary and Jesus, you see these leaves, which mean represent the bush, and then you see I guess the fire is both the yellow circle and the red, I guess, flames. But yeah, I think it's just gorgeous. It's really beautiful. Another one, different type, is the Theotokos of the Passion, which is what in Western art we call Our Lady of Perpetual Help. Patroness of the diocese. Thank you. I actually didn't know that. So, thank you. So this artist, Andreas Rizzo de Candia, is quite well known. I have to admit, I didn't know him, but I know him now. So this is called the Theotokos Amolintos in Greek, and it has two angels carrying the instruments of the Passion, and Christ is sort of looking towards them, and at the same time sort of leaning towards his mother, and he's holding her hand with his two hands. It's almost as if he's sort of getting refuge from those, that future of him, like he's taking refuge in his mother. He's looking for protection, and that's what we should do as well in our trials. Mm-hmm.
Somebody told me once before what it means, and I've forgotten, but the sandal falling off his foot.
I saw that, and I don't know what it means. I want to know what it means, but yeah, I saw it, and I thought, I wonder what that is.
Running to his mother, isn't that?
Yes,
I think that's what
that sounds good.
Maybe, yeah, but yeah.
There was an explanation which I've read really, in the last few days. I don't know if it's in the Mass of Ages edition that's just come out.
It's the weight of the world. It's like he's carrying the weight of the world. So it's like letting go. He knows he's going to go to the crash. So he's hanging.
Yeah.
He knows they've taken with him everyone on that cross. That's what happened to him.
They said in his distress, so as you said, he's holding his mother's hands, but in his distress, he's not going to come off.
Yeah. Yeah. I will have a look, because where I found this, it didn't say anything. So I will have a look, and if I can, I'll include it. If I find anything, I'll include it on the YouTube thing. So that's one thing. What was the other thing that I needed to look up? What was the other thing? I've already forgotten. Terrible. I'll remember when I go over the presentation, but that I need the sandal I need to look up. Another type is the Kardiotissa, and it comes from cardia, meaning heart, so because she's holding her child next to her heart. And then another very rare type, I say very rare, it's not very rare, but it's not as common, is the Galaktotrophousa. This is my favorite name because it's quite difficult to say. And it's even more difficult in Russian, so you have a go if you want. And it comes from galakt, which means milk, and trophein, which means to nourish or nurture. So it's not that common, but in the West it really took off as a motif. It was very, very popular as Our Lady of Milk, mainly since the 14th century in Italy, in Italian art, in Flemish art as well, and Spanish art, because it was very. I think the reason why it wasn't that common is because of the slight problem with showing Our Lady's breast. But I think in the West we were more, I guess, okay with that, and we saw it as an image of like tenderness as well. So it got really, really popular. So I think that is everything, and we are early. If you have any questions, thank you very much.
There's another variety, not too many, but I've come across quite often. It's called Mlekopitátelnitsa.
Oh, the Mlekopitátelnitsa
Sweetly loving or sweetly kissing.
Yes, yeah, yes. It's very similar to the Eleousa,
Yeah.
to the point that I was looking at it. Where is she? I was looking at the Mlekopitátelnitsa and I thought, it's really difficult to tell the difference. I think maybe the faces are even closer, and that's why, but it was a very subtle difference, and that's why I didn't bring it, but just because I myself wasn't sure if the images I was finding on Google were actually, because sometimes, you know, when you look for things, you end up in like blogs of people's blogs. They're not even citing properly. You don't know where they got the images from. So that's why it was a bit difficult to find icons, and that's why I brought you some modern ones, because at least it was people who are now making the icon of the Eleousa, the icon of the Odighitria, but some of them came from blogs where like there were no citations whatsoever, and I was like, I'm not sure if this is actually the Mlekopitátelnitsa or it's an Eleousa, because the difference is really subtle. But yeah, it's like this sweet kissing. It's really lovely. Any more questions at all? Comments? Right.
The one of Our Lady of Perpetual Succor you showed us, which you
Yes.
called Our Lady of the Passion. Was
Yes.
it Greek? Was it Amolindos you called this?
Sorry?
The Greek title was something else, wasn't it?
It was, yes. Let me see.
And I think it means inviolate. So it had
Amolintos.
Yes. Which I think means inviolate. That doesn't seem to have the same relation to what we see.
Yes, yeah, no, that's true.
The passion.
That's true. Yeah.
I
Another
know
thing.
because I have a copy at home, which
Okay.
I was told when I bought it in Greece, it was called Amolindos.
Yes, I have one that George brought me, a little one, and I don't know what it is actually. I need to look it up. I need to look at it when we get home. It's a very small one. I think it's probably an Eleousa. It's probably an
It's from
Eleousa.
North Macedonia.
North Macedonia, yeah. Yeah, it is probably an Eleousa. But yeah, why would she be called Inviolate and then Our Lady of the Passion? Yeah. Another thing. So, and it's also from the same icon. So, the name and the sandal, that's two things that I need to look up. Yes.
Did that lady Częstochowa?
Yeah.
That's I'm going to France soon, so that. You know the scars on the
Yes.
face. I've read somewhere. I think they had the image was taken out. They tried to. I don't know if it's burn it or blow it, but they tried when they tried to paint it. It kept coming through,
Yes.
But that's for the ladies, for the farm born now, for the unborn.
Yes.
It's like the one that you showed with the
With the scar. Yeah.
It was Swedish soldiers
Oh, is that
struck it with their swords,
Yeah.
and I don't. It's possible that there was a miraculous element to them not being able to cover that up, but certainly they decided to leave the wounds on Our Lady's cheek as a sign that she suffers with us.
But sorry for that. I was reading that they said it was paint. They tried to paint it over, it kept coming through. So I don't know if that,
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't read much about Częstochowa, but
I'm going there.
yeah.
I'm going to my son actually found the monastery. So
Nice.
I left it to him to find where to go, so he found Our Lady Częstochowa.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Well, enjoy that. I would love to go and see her because we've been to Poland, but we haven't been to see her. So it was a very short trip. But yeah.
The injury on, the neck injury just brought to mind. I got a little tiny a copy of an icon from Quidna, Carmelite Monastery.
Yeah.
To me, it looks like Our Lady, one of her eyes she's been hit in the eye. I don't know whether you've come across this in other things. Her eye looks bruised to me. She looks like somebody's. And this isn't.
Okay, so it's
interference.
okay.
It's.
I haven't.
Be. Maybe it's how I see it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't come across it. But yeah, I don't know. It might be another. I mean, it might be another subtype or Our Lady of somewhere, because there's so many. There's so many types, but then within the types, you see, like with this one, which is the Odighitria, you have like so many from different places, and each one has like a story or a half legend, half true story. So it might be one from a particular place that might be even like really obscure. So yeah, you could research that. I can't research that. See, Our Lady with the eye that is sort of.
Yeah, it looks like literally somebody's hit her in the eye.
Okay.
You know how somebody would be if they were.
Yeah. Okay. Another thing.
Yeah.
The list is getting long.
Going back earlier to your explanation of the theology.
Yes.
Am I right in thinking that the Greek Orthodox or the Orthodox Church shares the same view as the Catholic Church on Mary's Immaculate Conception?
I'm going to pass that to.
Well,
complications
they don't use the same terminology.
Right.
Because the Immaculate Conception is defined by the Latin Church, by the Pope in 1854. So it is a very specific. It uses Western terminology. So I think it would be fair to say that in the Eastern tradition they have the same view but different ways of putting it. So, for example, Our Lady's Assumption is described as her dormition, which is perhaps the old way of describing it.
I mean, they do have the same idea because of like what we said in the icon with the 3 stars. So they do believe that she was a virgin before, during, and after. It's just they might not express it in the same.
And the word "all holy," I would say, expresses what we mean by immaculate.
Yeah.
Though, of course, I speak under correction.
Yeah. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I have an announcement to make. So this is the last Barocci talk for now. I'm really sorry, but personal circumstances make it difficult to continue until the summer. So this will be the last one for now. Watch this space. Just keep an eye on the newsletter, basically, and see what happens in September. But yeah, thank you so much for coming.